And a Merry Christmas to me. Bam. 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 What's up, guys? A few of you requested that I do some updates as I'm doing my build. So I'm going to try to make this quick and post some videos from time to time on my progress. So so far I've got the belly pan off, the front splitter off, I've got the front bumper off, which I did this evening, the inner fender wells, which I took off, and I just placed them over here. If anyone's has never done this before, there's just a bunch of clips and it comes right off. I didn't have to take the front tires off. And the bumper is held on by a bunch of little screws up here, and there's one hidden behind this rubber, and then there's one right here, which is a little hard to get to, but I got to it with a small ratchet. And then you disconnect your fog light wiring, and that's pretty much it. The whole thing came out. It's super light. I didn't really struggle with that too much, but that's as far as I've gotten so far. I've never worked on a Shelby before, so this is the first time for me. And so far, well, everything's brand new. The car's got 3,800 miles, so it's not that bad. Everything's nice and clean. But I'm going to work on draining the fluids out of the radiator, and I'm going to work on taking off all the plastics and getting the battery out. I need to get this strut off, and work on getting the air box off and all this stuff off, get the valve covers off. I'm going to be doing the oil pump gear and the crank sprocket. I'm putting billet in there. Never done it before. All I have is instructions and YouTube videos. So we're going to give it a shot. So once I get that done, then I'm going to take the transmission out for my clutch swap, and I need to get a set of LongTube headers under here, get the new clutch installed, and then I'll put this Whipple on last. So that's my little update. I am 3 days into this, and I only work on it a couple hours a night. It's late at night. This is the only time I could get in the garage and work. Here's my garage. It's a 30 deep by 40 wide. I've got my little daily junker. I've got a classic 60s car here, and I'll park my truck over there. So yeah, this is where I'm working. Nothing too fancy. And I don't have a giant toolbox or nothing. I just have that little toolbox set there. We'll see if we can get this done with that toolbox. Alright, I'll check back in with you guys soon once I get a little further. Okay, just making a note. I'm on step 21 of the instructions, and it said to remove these two nuts and to remove this heater hose support, which is this plastic thing that says 5.2 on it. I guess we're not using that anymore. Don't know. Get it out of here. Okay, I just removed this here. It is part number GR3E6K817AB. And it went here like this. Note. And next I'm going to remove this plate and these heater hose nuts to support. Okay, this one came off of this side. It is part number GR3E-6758-AA. That one here. Okay, I took this side off. It just sat up on there. And the heater hose laid in there. I guess we're not using this anymore. I don't know. Okay, I disconnected all the fuel injector plugs. And then this plug here, which is in the injector harness, went to this sensor, which is on the fuel rail. Okay, I disconnected this right here, which was this blue clip. I just lifted it up and it went to the fuel rail. It's this black hose with the orange FR3C on it. Goes over there. Fuel line, this is metal. And apparently there's gas in it. Just want to note that when I took this valve cover off, there was silicone here and it was stuck to the gasket, and there was silicone down here also stuck to the gasket. Alright, since you guys are liking these little updates, I'm going to go ahead and give you another one. I've got 4 hours in tonight. Let me get on my step ladder. 4 hours. That was taking off a bunch of stuff back here and the little brace that goes around here. I got that out, and then it took me a little bit of time to figure out how to take the cowl, the plastic that sits below the windshield. That was a little tricky, but you just pop it up, kind of sits in a groove. So I got that out. I had to get the wiper arms off. I did all that just so I could take all the bracing off so I can get to the valve covers easier. It also helped me, I guess, with the motor mounts and headers. So I just went ahead and took it all off. It wasn't that big of a deal, but... And then I installed my lift plate, which is from MMR, because I'm going to have to support this engine when I swap the motor mount. And while I have that motor mount out, I'll do that header. And while I have this motor mount out, I'll do this side of the header. That's the plan anyway. So that's why I put the lift plate on. And then I got the valve covers off. And radiator hose off. And tomorrow I'm going to start taking the front engine cover off. So I need to get all this off of here, pulleys and stuff like that. I've got the Ford all data printed to help me through it. that's where I'm at. I'm gonna keep going. We gotta do oil pump gears on this car. And then I'll start dealing with the headers. And I need to get the transmission out to put my clutch in there, my upgraded clutch. So we're chugging along. That's where I'm at. Update. Okay, tonight I am working on getting this timing cover off. So what I had to do was I had to remove the fan, which was super easy. There's just two bolts that hold it on. There's one here and one there, and then it just clips into there. There's the fan. Nice fan setup. I bet you could use it on different cars, like a Fox body or something. It's got these little flappers I didn't know about. Little doors. Kind of neat. There's just one plug here. Here's another door. Comes out super easy. And let's see what I do next. I took this balancer off. Real simple. This is the puller I used. I just rented it at O'Reilly. Here's the part number to that. 67005. I used the longest rod. It came off really simple, really easy. And then I made a cardboard template. Get all my bolts. I kind of just drew the front of the engine. I have to loosen the bolts here on the oil pan, and I can get this cover off. So I'm going to do that next. Alright, I got the timing chain cover off. Got the spark plugs out. Got the balancer bolt back in with a bunch of washers. Stacked them up back here. And the instructions say to get it to 930 position and make sure that the R1 is pointed about there. So it's kind of hard to see 930 exactly, but I put it at the 9 o'clock and then I just turned it a little bit. That'd be 930. And then here's the R. It's right about like the picture says. So I'm going to start removing all this stuff and get the chain off there. I got to get all this off and this off. I think this one too. Then you got to rotate it to 1230. So just be a little bit to the right of that, this keyway. And that will put the L right about here. So that's what they're wanting, and that's what I'm about to do. Let's see how this goes. And then oil pump is right back here, and I still need to get to all the oil pan bolts, but I need to drain the oil first in order to get this up off that little pickup thing. So that's where I'm at right now. Let's see how this goes. Okay, I got this side off. That wasn't too bad. Take the tensioner off, and then take the, I guess, what are they called, guides, and then take this bolt off, take that guide off, and get the chain off. Now I'm going to rotate this crank to the 1230 and get this side off, which here's the tensioner. Get that off and this off, and then all that will be off, and then I can get the oil pump off there. Okay, that's what it looks like. Both sides are off. I just got some bolts to take off here. Like that one too. And this will come right off of here. Gotta drop the pan though. It'd be nice if it would just come off without dropping the pan, but I don't think that's gonna happen. We'll see how that goes. Okay, it's the next day, and I'm getting ready to pull this oil pump gear off. I've got the brand new boundary oil pump gears here, crank sprocket right here. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that the oil pan bolts, 90% of them are real easy to get to. There's two in particular that suck, and they are, let me get under this car. The two that suck, there's that one there, and then there's one up here in this corner. It's just difficult to get your hand up there, and I have no idea how I'm going to get the bolts, those two bolts in particular, back in. So that'll be fun and interesting to try to do. Not looking forward to that, but everything else came off pretty easy. There's some RTV back in this corner. I've got to figure out how to re-RTV that, and then there's RTV in these corners here. See it? So that'll be interesting. I'm gonna get this oil pump off now. I gotta get the drop. I have to drop the oil pan. It should just push down. It's just being held on by the silicone. Alright. Pump should come right off now. Okay, the oil pump gear is off. I'm going to take it apart now. Okay, this is what the oil pump, stock oil pump gear looks like. Trying to get it out of there. I think I need two hands for this job. Should just pick up out of there, but it's not cooperating. There we go. This engine has 3,800 miles, so this stuff looks pretty good. There's very minimal wear on there. I've seen some videos where people had some pretty good gouges. That's it. We'll put the new ones in next. Alright, I've got the lettering facing me, which it's written on there, this side up. And I use their assembly lubricant. I separated the two and I just rubbed that stuff all over it. And then I sat it down in there and then I spun it around. And now I'm going to pour a little bit of 550 in there. Just pour it on there a little bit and then get this cover back on. Well, I'm done for now until I can get my hands on a good torque wrench that does pound inches and also torque to yield with angles. So I need an angle torque wrench. So I need to get my hands on one of those so I can tighten bolts like this to 89 pound inches, and then the bolts that bolt this to the block, they're also torqued to yield with an angle wrench, torque wrench. So I need to get my hands on one of those before I can proceed. So now I'm at a standstill. hopefully I can get my hands on one of those wrenches and then I can continue this project. Okay guys, a little update on my oil pump gear install. I got the oil pump back on. I went to Harbor Freight and I bought this angle torque wrench, which helped out a lot. It was like $160 worth of money. You have to torque these to a certain spec. Let's see where my paper go. Here it is. And here's the torque specs. So I did those 89 inch-pound and then 18 pound feet and so on, 177 inch. Then after that you got to do the degrees, 45, 75, 45, 60. And then it tells you the letters over here on this page. So I did all that, and then I put the billet sprocket on, and then I impacted this bolt on, and then I put this chain on here with the link going on the L. You can see that. And then there's a colored matching paint mark link that matches a line on the sprocket. So you do that, you put the guides on, you put the tensioner on, and then you pull the pin, and then this pops out and holds it, puts tension on it. Now these are 89 pound inches. Doesn't seem like much. So 1, 2, and 3, that's what it calls for. Kind of seems weak, but that's what I did. That's what the paper says. Then I rotated the motor back over to 930. And then I put this side on here. You can see the link. I'm going to go down at the bottom and show you what it matches. So you kind of can't screw this up because I was off a little bit, and I wasn't at 100% 930. I just had to rotate it just a hair more, and then I got all the lines down there to line up like it's supposed to look. I'm going to go down there and show you now. This is what it looks like down here. You can see the let's see if I can do this. Zoom in. See, there's a line on the billet sprocket, the chain sprocket, and then there's that black line, and then there's the two paint lines. So you gotta get all that to line up, and you get all that up there to line up. That's pretty much it. Now I'm going to get up. Feeling old. Alright, now I'm going to prepare my timing chain cover. I got all new gaskets from Ford dealership and a brand new timing chain cover seal right here. So I'm going to replace these gaskets and get this RTV up off of here, and I'm going to replace that. And I've got all my Ford parts right here. Bottom. I got them delivered. My new gaskets. Got some of this high performance RTV silicone. The seal, crankshaft seal. Got a new AC belt. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm really not sure about these. It says these needs to be pushed in. They look pushed in to me, so I think that's fine. So I'm gonna work on this next. I'm gonna get this all prepared. That way tomorrow I'll install it. All right, guys. That's your update. Making some progress. Tomorrow my headers are supposed to show up, and I got my my clutch is in that box right there. So once I get this buttoned up, I'm gonna put the water pump back on and all this stuff. Then I'm gonna start taking this transmission out of here. That'll be next. Alright, thanks for watching. Okay, tonight I'm working on the timing cover. I put the new crank seal on there, and then I've got all the Ford gaskets. Here's the part numbers. They're all 60/20. There's a a B, C, and a D. Those are the part numbers that you'll need for that. So I'm going to put the new gasket in there, and then try to get an idea where to put the silicone dabs and start getting that in place. Alright, that was easy enough. Just got to press them in real nice and tight. Kind of hold themselves in pretty good. So that was pretty easy. Now I've got my cardboard bolt template. I'll bring that over to the car, and I'm going to go see exactly where I need to put these dabs of silicone, and I'll get this cover put on there. So all these are new, and this is new. We should be good to go. Okay, so I'm as ready as I ever will be. I spent like 45 minutes trying to get silicone off, mainly on this oil pan. I focused a lot of my effort down here. Let me show you. I got my heaters running, keeping me warm down here. It's really cold in my garage. But anyway, as you can see, you've got to put, get some light. Put some silicone here on the oil pan. I don't know if you could see that, but there it is. So I've been cleaning these surfaces, so I got to put a dab of silicone on each corner of the oil pan, and then hurry up and go to the top and get the timing chain cover on and get all that silicone on there too. So I'm gonna have to hustle really fast to do this all. Get the some oil pan bolts started and get the silicone here in all these corners. I made sure that the oil pan gasket was nice and seated in the groove. I did not replace the oil pan gasket. Most people don't. I'm just gonna do that, so it looks good still. And I'm just gonna put the silicone on the corners. Get a couple bolts started on this, then hurry up and go to the front of the motor, get the silicone on there, and put the timing chain cover on. So I'm gonna put the phone down and hustle to get this all done, like really as fast as I can before the silicone sets. But I have this RTV right here from Ford. Let me show it to you guys. Got this stuff here. I just got to get the caulk gun out. That's what I'm using. There's not a whole lot in there, but hoping to just do this all at once. I'm gonna need some for the valve covers, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that tonight or not. Just going through and doing these bolts 1 through 15. Bolts 1 through 15, 18 pounds. Right now I'm on number 9. Later I'm going to have to go back and do 1 through 15, another 60 degrees. Working my way through it. The oil pan bolts are a pain in the butt, just so you guys know. I've moved on to doing angles. I'm on number 12, which there's different size heads on here. These are 13s. There's 13s and 10s. Alright, I'm going to keep going. Okay, got that done. Now I'm going to move down to the oil pan. I think those are all 89 inch-pound. I need to go through my paperwork and find the oil pan. Oil pan bolts are the worst. All this was fairly simple. If I have enough time tonight, I might do the valve covers. I'm not sure what time it's getting to be. I don't want to be out here too late. But then I'll need to get the balancer back on And I'm not sure yet on the bracketry for the Whipple stuff. So I might just put the balancer on and get the alternator back on and just kind of hold off on everything here, because I think I have to bolt a bunch of stuff here. But I will get the water pump back on, which I have a brand new O-ring seal for that. You can see that silicone pushing out there and there. So, alright, I'm gonna keep going. Get under there for these oil pan bolts. Alright, well, I got one cover on. Wasn't too bad. I put a brand new valve cover gasket and then the 2 dabs of silicone. Got all the bolts tightened up. I think I'm going to go ahead and just do this side too and get that done for tonight. It's almost midnight. But I think I'm just going to get this knocked out and over with. That way the next time I come out and work on the car, I'll do the balancer and water pump. And then maybe I'll work on getting the exhaust off, the headers off, and start working on the transmission stuff. But yeah, it's coming along. Putting it back together. Alright, it's midnight and I'm ready to go inside. It's like 38 degrees in my shop. It's so cold in here. I won't go in. But I got the timing cover on and I got the valve covers on. New valve cover gaskets, although I really didn't probably need them. My old ones looked fine, but everyone says to replace them, so I replaced them. So brand new valve cover gaskets and all new gaskets on the timing chain cover. Everything's torqued to spec. Yeah, oil pan bolts are a pain in the butt. Out of this whole job, I would say the oil pan bolts kind of suck. But yeah, all that's done. So the next time I'm able to work on the car, I will put the crank pulley balancer on and get the water pump on, and then I'm going to start tackling the exhaust. I have to get the stock headers out because I got a brand new set of stainless long tube headers, and then I'll probably work on getting the transmission out and getting the motor mounts out of my way. I got a hoist. I'm going to probably lift the engine or support the engine. And while that motor mount's out of the way, I could probably get to the headers easier. We'll see how that goes. But I'm going to spend the whole rest of the month of February dealing with exhaust and transmission stuff, new clutch. And then hopefully between March and April, I'll get the supercharger and all that put on. So that's the plan. And thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I'll have more updates. It's a pretty big job. I've never done this before, and I'm just going along best I can. Just one bolt at a time is what I say. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Not a whole lot of progress tonight, but I managed to get the water pump back on there. Got that installed with the new O-ring seal. And I got that on there, which I'm not really sure if this stays later. But I put it on there anyway. It's just one bolt. I think this might change with the Whipple stuff. And then I got the alternator on. I got the headers this side off. It's just kind of hanging there, kind of stuck on a stud right now, but I need to get the steering shaft off, I believe. I need to mark it and take the Torx bit to it, get that out so I can get this header off. And I got the cat out. So tomorrow I'm going to work on getting this header, actually get the header out completely. And I'm going to start taking the bolts loose on the passenger side. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm going to get that apart and get the exhaust completely out. I'm not going to mess with the motor mounts yet. I'm supposed to swap motor mounts to a shorter one to lower this motor, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to wait. I'm going to focus on getting the exhaust off and then taking the transmission out, swapping the clutch, putting the MGW Shifter on there, and then putting it all back together. So I'm going to spend the next month doing that, and then getting these headers up in there too. Then I'll move on to swapping the motor mount at some point in time while I'm doing the headers. I'll move on to the supercharger stuff. I read into the supercharger stuff earlier, and yeah, there's a lot going on there. Kind of got a little overwhelmed with the instructions. It's not really 100% clear on stuff, but you gotta cut hoses and stuff, so I didn't really understand that too much. I need to read it a couple times to process it a little slower, make my brain understand what I'm reading there. But I was just kind of skimming through it. That's where I'm at tonight, and I need to get the correct balancer installer. I had the wrong one. What I rented from O'Reilly was incorrect, so I need to go figure out what tool I need to get the crank pulley back on. But it's not a big deal. It doesn't necessarily need to be on there right now, so it's on my list of things, but I would like to get that installed. And then I bought the crank saver stud instead of using the factory bolt. I bought the stud style. The screws right in there, so I need to read the instructions on how to properly torque that as well. So that's where I'm at, and we'll see what I get done tomorrow. Quick little update on my Whipple install. I finally got a chance to come out into the garage and work on this exhaust. I have so far got the driver's side out because it's super easy and you can get to all the bolts. This is the factory gasket. I don't know if this is reusable or not. Looks like a nice quality header gasket compared to what comes in the American Racing header box, but so I had to get the hoist out and supported the motor here. Now you're gonna have to take these the original factory motor mounts out. I don't know if you can see them down there. So you gotta take this top bolt out, and then there's 4 bolts that go to the block. You gotta lift this engine up at least a good 4 inches to get the motor mount bracket off, especially on the passenger side. I got the passenger side motor mount bracket off by lifting the engine up a good 3 to 4 inches. You cannot get to these header bolts unless you take the starter off and the motor mount bracket out. So I got that out of the way. I'm gonna call it quits for tonight. It's 1 a.m. I need to get to bed. But I've got about 3 header bolts off this side. Now that I got the motor mount out of the way, I can see everything. So I'll just come back out in a few days whenever I get a chance to come out here and get this passenger side header and cat off. I was struggling with the new AC belt. I don't know how to get it on there. I tried with the zip ties, it didn't work. I did get the crank pulley on, and then I put the crank saver stud in there, and I torqued it to 140 foot-pounds. That was challenging. I put the ARP lube on there, and it's by this company here, and it's called the crank saver stud. So I got that installed. I put some oil on the back of the balancer. I put some oil around the timing chain crank seal, and then I put a bead of silicone in the crank keyway, and then I pushed it on. I bought one of these. You ain't gonna get that installed unless you have this in Invaders West. This thing right here. I put some grease on the bearings. That worked out really well and easy to use. 90 bucks. So that's where I'm at. Next time I come out, I'll get that passenger side header off, and then I'm going to start working on trying to get this transmission out before I put the new headers in. And I'm taking the transmission out because I need to put the upgraded clutch in there. So that's where I'm at. Slowly but surely I'm getting there. It's a lot of work, and you need a lot of different tools to just get up to these bolts. It's kind of difficult. The starter bolts were a pain in the butt. I don't even know how I'm gonna put that back together. If I took it apart, I guess I could put it back together, huh? Alright guys, that's your update. Whipple install 2019 GT350, 3,800 miles. And hopefully it goes smooth and continues slow progress. I'll work when I can. Alright guys, stay tuned, more updates to come. Thank you. Alright, little update for tonight. Spent a lot of time taking this passenger header off. Some of these bolts are really difficult to get to, especially that top one up there was the hardest because the AC lines are in the way and the compressor's in the way. You can't get any tools up there. You can't get it from up in here. All that's blocked off. So I ended up getting a box wrench, ratcheting box wrench, and putting it up top there. So I got to it from the top, hooked it on, and started ratcheting that way. It took me a little bit to figure that out, but I got it off. No idea how I'm going to get the headers on there with the new nuts and bolts. That'll be interesting. I got that side off. Driver's side, definitely 100% easier. This side, gotta get the motor mount, the starter, all kinds of stuff out of the way. Even jacked up the engine a little bit with my hoist. So I got that out of there. The new headers are sitting in the box, but before I put them on, I'm going to get inside the car and take the shifter off and get all the plastics out of the way. And then I'll come down here and start taking the bell housing bolts loose and get the cross member bolts loose. I'm probably gonna have to take this out of the way. Even though I have my heat shield all nicely done, I guess I have to cut my straps, redo that all, and get the drive shaft out of the way. I bought this 800-pound capable trans jack from Harbor Freight, $180, brand new. I'm going to use that to get the transmission down. I'll get the clutch swapped with the new twin disc in there, then start putting everything back together. So that's where I'm at. That's my update. Under the car right now, it's midnight. Driver's side, I still got the motor mount in here, but I need to swap these for the supercharger. I drew my line here. Drew a line there, got that loose. Still need to get that motor mount out, but I kind of have the engine resting on that side and then no motor mount on this side, and I got the hoist hooked up, kind of holding it up. That's it. That's your update. We'll see if I guess I have to drain transmission fluid. I don't know. I need to go read the manual on this, see what it takes to get this transmission out. I guess I'll lose some fluid. I don't know, I guess I have to fill it back up again. I'm not sure. We'll see how that part goes. But that's it. I'll probably be able to work on this again next week. So it'll be next week before I can get out here and do some work on this. Alright guys, stay tuned. I'll have some video of the transmission coming out soon. Thanks for watching. Alright, so I got my parts laid out on the table. Got the new twin disc clutch by RPS. Here's all the instructions and stuff having to do with the clutch install. I got that over here. Here's a new modified slave cylinder here. I think all they do is machine this out to put that, install this, install that. Here's the MGW Short Throw Shifter for GT350s. I opted to keep the stock handle height. I don't want it real low to the ground. Hopefully this works out like I'm thinking. There's all those parts there. I'm gonna have to go through the instructions on that. And over on the car side, I've got all the bolts loose for the bell housing. I got the 2 up on top here, and then I got the 3 on each side. And I've got all the transcooler lines loosened and removed out of the way. They're just here like that. And then I've got the harness, trans harness is all this stuff here. This goes drooped over to the side of the transmission, so I just kind of fed it through here and just tossed it so it's out of my way. I got these out of the way. There's a whole bunch of holders that holds this stuff in place, and same with this. This one goes right up here like that, up there. So I got all this stuff out of the way. I got all the bolts loose. And now I'm going to get this out of the way. I got to get the drive shaft off. I got this section of the exhaust out of the way. So hopefully, in a little bit, we'll have this transmission out. Alright, several hours later, I got the transmission out. The big takeaway from this is, don't do this by yourself. Have a buddy with you. Because I struggled. And it got pretty scary there for a second. Almost broke my arm, my wrist. I pulled a muscle in my neck. Whew. The main problem was, now I've done a lot of Fox bodies, and normally the Fox body you just unbolt from the bell housing and you leave the bell housing there. Well, on this it's different. I didn't know that. And you've got to slide this whole thing out, including all this here, before it'll allow you to drop it down out of there. The problem is the further back you go, all this starts hitting the tunnel. So I'm trying different angles and trying to lift the engine, drop the engine. It was tough. Also, make sure you got your shifter out, because it was hitting the tunnel. I ended up leaving all that on. Also, make sure you disconnect this thing. It's stuck on a stud, so you gotta get it from the top of the engine bay up at the top. Get in there and pop that off, and then make sure you take the fluid hose there off. There's a clip. You got that out. I lost a lot of fluid here. Then I lost a lot of fluid out of these holes here. It just was started pouring out like crazy. So I got oil everywhere on the garage floor. This thing started tilting that way and it all came out. So now I had to figure out how to fill this thing up. I don't even know where the fill hole is. I guess this right here, yeah, there it is, fill. So I'll be needing to get some transmission fluid. Let's get down under here, take a look. Another problem I had was the drive shaft, because this is still here, got all bound up. And I couldn't drop it, and it was preventing me from getting the transmission to go back. So that was a pain in the butt. I'm going to have to do something different. I think I'm going to have to take this exhaust out in order to get everything back in. I haven't looked back here much, but I'm going to do the cooling head mod. It looks like I could get to the freeze plugs from back here. I don't know what to do with that bracket though, kind of blocking the hole. I think it's supposed to stick something in there. So I don't know what to do with that. I did watch some YouTubes on it. But a lot of fluid was coming out of this, so be prepared for that. I'm going to start unbolting this stuff tomorrow. It's past midnight and I need to get to bed. I'm worn out. But I just kind of laid this stuff over here. The transcooler lines. I don't know if I should replace these gaskets or not. I don't know if they're reusable. Got the wiring harness laid over there. So now I'm gonna take this clutch out and all that good stuff, do the cooling head mod, then put the new clutch in. That's where I'm at. That was a struggle. I don't even know how I'm gonna put it back together. Get the transmission back up in there. That was a pain in the butt. The engine needs to tilt. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know what to do about that, but I may take this motor mount off, maybe tilt the engine down. I don't know. But I'm gonna have to have a friend or somebody come over to help me do all that. So that's it for tonight. At least I got the transmission out. Wasn't pretty, but it's out. Keep this project moving. Thanks for watching, guys. Alright, tonight's project was taking apart the RPS clutch and just looking at everything and reading the instructions on what to do. So this is what I found. When I bought this new RPS clutch, they asked, do you want the modified slave cylinder? So I went ahead and bought the modified slave cylinder. What does that really mean? I don't really know. This is the new one that I bought from them. What I can tell you is that the top of this, the lip is missing. So on the factory one, there's a lip here, which will limit the travel of the height of this, of the bearing. This one here will extend past it. Let's see if I can do this. Hang on. See how it goes past? So I don't really know what that means or why that's like that. And also I noticed that the green boot will lift up. This is not attached to that. The factory one is, so I don't exactly know what's up with that. Factory one looks like this. Here's the factory one. It's got a lip on that cylinder on the inside, so it's limited to there. Seeing it don't go any further. And the boot is stuck on here. So I gotta try to figure out what that means. I just want to understand it and know why and what I bought and the reason for it. But let's get back to the clutch. On the clutch, on the instructions, it says to clean, remove all dirt and rust from the input shaft and then apply a small layer of lapping compound. So they give you lapping compound. There it is. Let's take the top off of that. Hang on. This is what that looks like. Lapping compound. So use the brush here and I painted on a bunch of this lapping compound onto the input shaft. Then you get each disc. There's that one and that one. And you slide it onto the input shaft about, I don't know, I did it about 15 times. Kind of feels gritty. And that cleans any burrs. So it says slide each disc one at a time back and forth on the input shaft. This action removes any burrs or imperfections from both the clutch hub and input shaft. So I did that on both, and then I took a wire brush and I cleaned the splines really good on the input shaft and the discs. Wiped it all with a microfiber towel, got it nice and clean. Next, what I did after that was I used this supplied grease. I put some on the input shaft and I put some in here. You can see it's purple. And I got it there. So now I'm to the step where I need to go and slide these on there and then wipe off any excess. Then we did all this to make sure that I have a smooth operating clutch. So those are the instructions on that. So I'm almost finished with that, and I'd like to get this clutch installed. I got brand new flywheel bolts. Oh, one other thing. This clutch alignment tool, I think, is incorrect. Is it? Does not go in here. So I won't be able to align the discs. At least the first one, and the second one just won't align. I measured this hole, it's 590 with the calipers, and I measured the input shaft, and this is also 0.590 here. But this measures 625. So you need to get the correct alignment tool, unless I'm doing something wrong, but I don't think I am. So I need to address that problem. So I need to, I bought brand new bolts for the flywheel. I have the torque spec on that, and then the torque spec on these are 28 foot-pounds. And you just got to keep everything aligned. This is the floater plate. It's pretty simple, really, but except for I have these couple little issues here that I need to address. Other than that, I'd like to get this transmission back up in the car, and I still need to install all this stuff before I get the transmission in. So we'll be working on that soon. I have to go through all this process here and making sure that this is all correct. This is for the reverse. And I bought these Cook's multi-layer metal header gaskets for my ARH LongTube headers. They fit perfect on there. So I feel a little bit more. These were $40 from American Muscle. The factory uses multi-layer gaskets, and I'm going to use them again. So I found these from someone help point them out to me. I bought them. So I don't really know if I accomplished anything tonight. I just kind of ran into little problems, but I got the old clutches out, and here it is. It came out really easy. It's got 3,800 miles on it. Still looks brand new. That's it. That's it for tonight. I need to keep moving, keep chugging along. I want to get this car going by late spring, early summer, so I could enjoy it. Alright, that's your update. Thanks. Okay, I'm sitting under the car, and I got the flywheel from the RPS twin disc. So you got to rotate this around to where your bolt holes line up real good. So I spun it until I got a good match, and then I just put one bolt in real loosely to kind of hold it. So on the Ford instructions, here's the paperwork. We got stage 1, 2, and 3, 89, 177, and then finally 59 pound-feet. This is from Ford. So that's what I'm going to do. I got brand new flywheel bolts. I bought these. There's 8 of them. And I'm going to use a little bit of red Loctite. Not much. Probably don't really have to. This is Loctite 262. But it came in the RPS package, and then I'm going to use blue Loctite for the pressure plate bolts. Those are the originals. They're trash now. They say not to use them. I got a brand new box of bolts. So let's get to it. Okay, doing my 89. which ain't nothing. 89 is really loose. Okay, we'll bump it to 177 next. Pound inch. Okay, this one's 177 pound inch. Okay, and lastly, this is saying 59 pound-feet. Stage 3. Let's see. Pound-foot. We need 59. Alright. Okay, so here's my setup. Since this is wanting to spin, I put my small pry bar up here, and I put a bell housing bolt right there like that. And I'm kind of applying pressure with my right hand there, and then tightening this with my left hand. It's the best I could do. We're getting to 59 pound-feet. And I'm just going to go through them one by one. I've already done 2. Okay, that's complete. This worked out real handy here. Having this pry bar here. There we go. All torqued down with a little bit of red Loctite. The factory didn't, I don't believe, had any Loctite or not. This is the factory bolt. Looks pretty clean to me. But a little bit extra reassurance there. Let's get the other discs. So you gotta remember, this is all numbered, and you gotta keep these all aligned. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's really not that hard to assemble. The bolts for the billet cover, those need to be torqued down to, I'll go confirm it on the piece of paper. I think they're like 28 pound-feet. We'll go do that next. Alright, let me go get the I got the paperwork here. I got all my parts. I got the cover. I got the discs over here. I got the clutch alignment tool, which they had to send me another one because the other one was just the wrong one. Wasn't meant for my clutch, but this one's the correct one. The other one was longer here and fatter around, but this one here is shorter and the right diameter. So you see here, it fits right in there like that. So we're good there. Now, instructions here say all clutch cover bolts are 25 to 28 foot-pounds. And then here's all the other cars, but these don't apply to me. And then flywheel bolts for here's a Mustang flywheel bolt, says use factory spec, which we did, and so on. So I'm gonna try to do this video the best I can. I'm using my phone, so I kind of need both hands for this, but we'll check back in. We go with number 1, and then we're gonna go with number 2 here. This is number 2, and we'll just start stacking them. This is how I take it off, so it'll go up like that. And I'm gonna start using the clutch alignment tool. We'll see how this goes. Here we'll go 3 and then 4. this doesn't go through there, so I don't know, I guess I'm gonna have to stack them all on this and then push it onto there. I think that's what I'll do. I need to get all these bolts out and get the blue Loctite on them. And this is a 6mm Allen. Goes there. Alright. Okay, that was a little tricky. So this is what I did. I took all the bolts out of the billet cover. Okay, and then I stacked everything in the cover, and then I kind of sandwiched it all together, kind of like held it like this, and then threw it up there and tried to get this into the hole. And once I did, it was good, and I made sure that this floater plate, which is this one right here, is not pinched, and it's inside the little cutouts. And then I also made sure that my orange stuff is lined up. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna go back and blue Loctite these one by one and put them in, and then I'll take this bolt and this bolt out and blue Loctite them and put them back in. So these are just kind of holding me in there, and this is all lined up nice. It took me a minute to figure that one out. You can't put the discs up on there individually and then put the cover on last. That's not gonna work. You gotta like build this whole thing as one and then plop it up there. So, well, let me get these bolts all tightened up. Okay, that's it. I went with 26 feet-pounds on that. I said 25 to 28, I just put it on 26. First I did 20, and then I went to 26. And I just went, you know, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. I just was crisscrossing these. Let's tighten it. Now, theoretically, I should be able to pull this clutch alignment tool out, and we should be good to go, right? I guess let's try. We're going to see this together. There we go. Everything's all aligned. Let's try to put it back. Let's try to put it back in there. There we go. Hopefully the transmission goes in like that, huh? I hope so. I'm sure it'll be a tight fit going in there. Alright. Now you gotta get in there. I might ask a friend to come to help me do that. I don't think I want to tackle that by myself. The biggest thing here is this engine needs to be tilted down, because there's just not, you know. So I've got this motor mount out. I think I'm going to go ahead and take this motor mount out here. That way I got a little bit more flexibility here. So a little bit of progress today. Should be downhill from here. Get this transmission in, get the short throw shifter in, and get the drive shaft back in, and the exhaust. I'll work on putting the LongTube headers in, and then I could get to the Whipple. So I've made pretty good progress. I started on this project I think the second week of January, and it's the end of February. I have limited time, so just do a little at a time what I can do. So